actually why we built up the domain dashboard to track what domains you've got, where they are, and that kind of information. But if you don't renew that domain name in 2 years' time, after a 2-3 month period, it falls away. And that's why I'm always keen that business owners that are doing online marketing understand this piece really well, because if you don't, you're at risk. And I've watched companies making £100,000, £200,000 a week lose their entire business. They've lost that one domain name. That sounds incredible, but if you spent 5 years building up this online business, and then because John or Steve or Sarah, the IT person's left or ill, it gets missed. It's just one email. I mean, actually, you and I, you've been on webtyrant.com stuff for like a year now, I think you said, and something you haven't seen because either they've been spam filtered, they've been lost in the inbox you get, and you get thousands a day. People miss emails. So just knowing that stuff and diarising it's quite important. And again, GoDaddy are quite good about the relationship managers you can start with. Is that making some sense? And you see the numbers they have then. So yeah, the .coms are good and so forth. Once you've got that, you'd simply click on registration. Now, this is a good thing to actually look at. Companies online give you free marketing advice. They're actually telling you, having made that purchase, what some other things you could do. Now, that can actually usually is good information to go with, but also for yourself, do you do that for your own customers? Do you offer upsells, downsells, optimizations, and things like that? Now, for us personally, today we don't really want any of those, so we'll say no thank you, and you can turn it off by clicking this here. And it goes through and lets you either log in if you're already a customer, or create domain registration information. So you go through here and type in, Sarah Jones or Sarah Smith, your email address, Sarah, whatever it is, company name, and fill that information out fully. They've got some validation on the form as well to check if you put the information in right, and not to put dummy information in, but if you really go do that properly, make sure you put accurate information in. If you don't really find out your personal address details, again, we recommend opening a company having registered company addresses that actually is public anywhere in the UK, so you use the company details. But if you're doing it with a person, you can actually make your details private to lock it down a little bit. That information does become what they call a who is domain search, so it's useful in two directions. People can't get hold of you, they can't buy a domain off you, they can't rent advertising space off your site, they can't work with you. So it depends on why you're buying that domain name, whether you want to be seen or not. For us generally, please find out my information, get in touch with us if it's useful for us. But it's one of those things, especially the whole identity theft and fraud thing, locking down your data in a way that you're happy with is important. Again, set your countries in, territories, and carry on filing it through. And as it says here, this information is used to populate the who is listing. So really it's a simple process. You choose the domains you want, you pick your registrar, and you go from that. And again, there's lots and lots of domain registrars out there. If you do a Google search for domain registrar, you'll see there's lots of options from GoDaddy to UK.net names, UKReg, 123reg, 111. There's lots and lots of different ones. And we'll talk again actually just after we finish this video about some web results of kind of some things you notice here and what we might do to
Does the price vary?
Between registrars? There are some global companies that aren't quite regulators, but sort of universal sort of agents that store down that information. They have a base price. On top of that, various people add commission on top. So it's kind of like if you buy anything wholesale, the more you get close to that wholesale, the better it may be. But at the same time, they're never going to be free. And I've seen friends again that have taken out a free domain name, and then the company next year has gone bankrupt, and they're left going, but I thought it was okay. So you want to make sure that, as one of my friends told me years ago, in business, cheap's expensive. I'd rather have the car manufactured properly than the cheap car. I'd rather have my machine that works properly than not. And looking around here, you can see we've got the iPhones, the Macs, Sonys. It works for us. Now, it doesn't mean saving £1 or £2 not a bad thing to do, and there are usually discount codes and promos you can actually start off. But it's just getting a feel for yourself and what you feel comfortable with, and asking your friends that you trust what they use. All these companies that major companies you've heard of that are profitable will work well. And what you want to make sure is that registration details, you keep track of all that stuff, you get the records of it all. When I first bought my first domain almost like 10-15 years ago when it first happened, registered 2 domains for 10 years each. And the company, they upgraded their systems, lost track of that. So I had that original record, physical printouts. I go back to them and say, look, here it is, and I already resolved it. So the industry is quite mature now, but just to be aware of that. Don't get overly worried about that bit. But yeah, there are different prices you can get. And again, you can go into this and go domain registration free, so it comes up, free parking, and there's various options for you. Again, pretty main for UK business. But just to be aware, there's always a catch. So they'll maybe free website on this particular site here, but they may then charge you for other things like hosting or SEO services as part of their package. And that's, there is no free thing forever. And what you often find with the first year's free, then they'll charge you in year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, and some money and look, transfer fees, and it's kind of like phone contracts. With all these things, just read the small print. For me personally, I like things being black and white, so I go to UK Reg or One-on-One or GoDaddy and company know and like. So once you've done that, when you've registered, you'll get a receipt sent through to your email address. Save that, email it, archive it, shove it in Dropbox, whatever that works for you to archive your files. And at that point, the domain name registered. And the domain is that first point. The domain name just points at a host. And another time we'll go through a little bit more at how that all fits, how you upload some files. But any questions on registering a domain name? Fairly simple, really, isn't it?
Straightforward.
The first time it may take a bit longer about activating accounts because they want to make sure themselves that the person buying domain name is who they say they are and have the account details correct. So you may need to validate your credit card, validate an email address. So just plan on taking not 10 seconds the first time round, but a bit longer. Once you've got that account though with that registrar, the next one should become quicker. You log in and do that. So fairly simple. If you haven't got a domain name yet, I recommend getting your own name as a .com or .co.uk. If you're wherever country you are, that extension. The .com's quite nice. As I always like to show people, somebody sort of Googles Simon Headley, they will find simonheadley.com, and it's fairly obvious. But if you're not a celebrity just yet, but you're going to become one in the future, and by registering that domain name, that's your information up and done. And you can use that to link up to other businesses you're running and things you're doing. For us, Sypo Group, Domain Dashboard and others. So it starts creating your web real estate property and making things signpost. Okay. Hope that's been useful. From the guys at Domain Dashboard, Web Tyrant, Sypo Group, thanks for listening. And see you guys soon.